is the 18th annual Katrina Marching Second Line. We here 18 years later after 2005, August 29th, when Katrina, the hurricane, came through New Orleans and passed over. It was beautiful, exploded, imploded, like my good brother Reverend Yearwood said. And then the water came through the city, and it just traumatized everybody, rearranged New Orleans as a whole, and dispersed people all over the United States. A lot of people died in that devastation, and we here to honor the lives of the people who lost loved ones, and also the New Orleans citizens who had to wait to come back into the city to rebuild.
Okay, why do you think it's important to come out annually to the lives that were lost?
It's super important to come out every year to do this, along with the Hip Hop Caucus and myself. We want to make sure that this tragedy stay on America's front burner. We don't want people to forget. We don't want them to do this again to our people, just bust people all over the world with a one-way ticket. So we here every year. We've been doing this 18 years, and we're going to continue to do this for the voiceless, for the people who don't have an opportunity to come here because they still stranded, miles and miles away, or the people who just don't have the time or the opportunity to be here. So we just want to be that voice for those people.
Would you like to speak about the state of the Ninth Ward 18 years following the Queen?
The state of the Ninth Ward, 18 years later, as you can see, especially over here in the lower Ninth Ward, which was predominantly homeowners, a lot of this area is still, it looks like 2005. It looks like right after Katrina, a lot of these homeowners was, just jacked of their property, messed over by the city and the state, and it's just a tragedy that people have to deal with the high rents, the lack of reconstruction in this city, and it just looked terrible. There's a lot of houses just still gone, a lot of grass still, almost to the roof where people were stuck in their homes. So not only the Ninth Ward though, the whole city, a lot of money was sent here, billions and billions of dollars, but the whole city looked like 2006, right after, Katrina. And, we definitely here to stand and make sure that we don't just let them pull a wool over our eyes.
Is there anything you would like to add?
I'm good. That Reverend Yearwood, definitely powerful words to add.
Y'all switch?
Yeah.
So it's Rev, R-E-V. Last name is Yearwood, Y-E-A-R-W-O-O-D. President of the Hip Hop Caucus.
We're going to try to ask a little bit of different questions. I'm just trying to talk about moving forward, maybe something you all would just like to see moving forward.
Well, most definitely, I want to first speak out to everybody who is displaced. That when we show up here, we know that you're with us. No matter where you are around this country or the world, know that we have not forgotten you, and we have not forgotten those who lost their lives during that time because of Katrina. And we stand here as a remembrance of those to ensure that the fight still continues. And our fight is very simple. Our fight right now is that we call for a state holiday, and here in Louisiana, that August 29th be a time of rest, reflection, of care and repair, a place where we can all come together and remember what happened. Second thing, we know that this state produces petrochemicals and toxins. We know they have put plants on plantations, and they continue to put them in a position where we are hurting. And so this is a time for us to come together to say, stop the expansion of petrochemicals. We understand the climate crisis. And thirdly, we come here because every single year we come here, every single year, particularly black people, are being hurt. So yesterday, black folks were killed in Jacksonville, Florida. Year before that, they were hurt in Buffalo, New York. Year before that, there's someplace, somewhere. Every time we commemorate us coming together, fighting for black people all around this country are hurt. So we say, that ain't gonna happen no more. We're gonna rise up here in New Orleans. We're gonna rise up all around this country to say, stop the madness and stop killing black people.
Maybe any personal experiences, or why is it important for you yourself to be out here today?
Well, every time I'm come here, I gotta think about one who actually didn't die in the storm, but that afterwards. That's Mama D, Diane French Cole. and Mama D in the 7th Ward on Derjewan Street was there, stayed there after many people left. Many folks in their churches and their mosques, communities, they got out. But she stayed behind. And she stayed behind in a way in which when the grandmothers and grandfathers were floating down the street, she ensured that she would tie them to the tree because she said, those are my neighbors. I can't allow for my neighbors to float down the street. And so I bring her up because after that, she kept fighting and fighting. And then she died. Like many people who died, they didn't die at that time, but also the heartbreak caused many people to die after the storm. So I lift her up as an amazing, powerful black woman, like so many other black women who stayed in the trenches to fight for us, for many of us here in New Orleans. So I just want to lift her up. There were all those in her memory, but that's my story. And also my story is really for hip hop and the culture and for young people, that we now still come together. We do come together as black, white, brown, red, male, female, straight, gay, theists, atheists, humans here in New Orleans still come together fighting for justice. And we ain't gonna stop fighting for justice. As long as we're gonna fight in our bodies, we're gonna keep fighting.
Any message, anything else you want to add that we didn't ask?
To make sure they're very clear that in this state, we know our state is creating the same thing that created Hurricane Katrina. And we gotta end the climate crisis. We don't wanna be the ones who are the path of least resistance. We don't want to be remembered as a place that just grieved and mourned what happened here. We now see it happening everywhere. We see the wildfires in Canada. We see the hurricanes, and they now call it, in California. We see folks around the world grieving, and we know it's because of our pollution. And so we're going to say, listen, because of what we went through on August 29th, we're going to go through that for the world. Stop the climate crisis now. Let's transition from petrochemicals and move forward for a world built on love, just, and equality.
That's it? Oh, yeah. Thank you.
On our way to the battlefield. Take time out of Katrina, we do what we will. He made us fall, he made us strong. Way that more, she didn't get us all. We came on back and we made it real. Way that more, we got that feel. Now we all come back and we raise up our laws. Way that more, we pay the cost. In your because this is special. I've worked at this school in the 9th Ward at MLK. Over 20 children were lost. I'm a teacher. And when you think about that, that's like walking down the hallway and a whole class of children are gone. My mother's house had water 2 inches from the ceiling. So with that, I'll pour this libation first for our ancestors' guidance, for them to pour into us the strength that we need to fight injustice everywhere. This is for the children whose lives were lost, but I really like to call it what it is, the children who were murdered by the system, the Corps of Engineers, the state of Louisiana, the federal government, For all the elders, like my mother, at 70-something years old, had contracted board for $55,000 and did not get justice. For all of those elders and everyone who still stayed the course and they're still here, they found the tenacity and the strength to live through this horrible, horrible, horrible experience. For all of the young children who were displaced in many places and discriminated against or stereotyped because we New Orleans. We speak New Orleans, we think New Orleans, we dress New Orleans, we are New Orleans. For all of those children who were displaced and didn't have schools, and I tell you what I know because I'm a teacher, when the school system turned children away and said, we don't have room for you in the school. How can you turn a child away from a free education? For all of those children that ignored that injustice, and now, because they weren't taught, because we don't call it like it is, they are out here doing things because they feel desperate. They don't have jobs. Let's talk about the root cause. The root cause. May our children and the future generations be able to overcome the root causes of systemic racism that is designed, in my opinion, to kill them. To make money off of them by building prisons, prison to school pipeline wheels. For us, this generation of activists, that we have the strength to continue to be activists in the ways that we know how. If it's through hip-hop, if it's through Indian culture, or me as a social activist for justice. May we all be blessed to be able to continue this important work. And last, for all of the people of African descent and the diaspora, because racism institutionalized ways of keeping people from acquiring wealth, stealing people's land, gentrification in Africa. You didn't have a fence around it, now it's my land. May all of us who live this life be able to live the American dream in acquiring generation African American men in jail. Just so you know. Ashe. Ashe.
Make sure people understand that we're just not here to be about this process for us to gather, but to do more than that, even when we're not here, gathered here at the levees. As we all know, we're here at the levees that for some were imploded and for some were exploded. And regardless of that, that was the killing of those who lived here. So I need you to just bring that in. And understand that spirit. I want to make sure you understand that we're here this year with a number of demands. Some of those demands that we're here for, as I said before, is most important to understand care and repair. That we are calling for August 29th to be a state holiday. We're calling for everyone, whether you're Republican or Democrat. If there's anything that should be nonpartisan, it should be in the creation of making August 29th a state holiday here in Louisiana. And that's important because we need to make sure that for the next generation, they don't forget what is happening in this moment. We know that most Americans remember and know Katrina from the standpoint of that it was an opportunity for the corporate polluters to take advantage of what happened.
Yes.
And so we understand that this moment is also one in which we are saying that for our home state, for New Orleans, we are saying that we must stop the expansion of petrochemicals. That we must stop the expansion of those who are putting things in Cancer Alley. The fact that we have a part of our state that is called Cancer Alley, that has industry throughout that it is causing harm, that must stop. And we understand that what we are saying, looking forward to a better future, is that why not change the nickname in our state from Cancer Alley to Opportunity Alley to Hope Alley? Why not transition that from a standpoint of us being reliant on things that kill us to things that help us to thrive? So with that, I want to make sure and lift up the prayer. Am I going to do the prayer right? Yeah. Okay. I want to lift up the opportunity to do the prayer, that you know that this, for many of us, will be the line. Please know, again, we want August 29th to be a state holiday. And we are calling for the stopping of the expansion of petrochemicals in our state. And so with that, I understand many of us here are from different faiths and different backgrounds, those who are Christian, those who are Muslim, those from different faith backgrounds. And so this prayer is in a respect for every faith. And I want to just say that a couple of years ago we had Hurricane Ida, and there are many of those in our state who still have blue tarps from that. And I want to say that we now have documentaries that are called Katrina Babies that show the children who have come up. And so I want us to march in second line and to gather with the spirit of our ancestors. So this prayer is simply this. Almighty, we've been through so much. It is traumatic for us just to remember what happened on August 29th of 2005. But we know that you can give us healing and you can restore us. We continue to lift up all those who are now with you in your bosom, those who left this side of Jordan and joined with you on the other side. And we hope that they see us. We still believe that where two or three are gathered, you are in the midst. And so we believe, as particularly African people, that in that tradition, that the ancestors are now circling around us, that they are now leaving their heavenly position, and they are now assembling around us to not only to give us protection, but to give us encouragement and to give us joy. Help us here on this place called Turtle Island, these United States of America. Help us to never to forget of how far we've come, but still how far we need to go. You've heard our claim. You've heard our petition that you be with all of those who are still hurting, all of those who are still lost, all those who are still grieving today. Be with them. Give them a spirit of peace that goes beyond all understanding. You've heard our cry to the state, local officials, that we are just calling for a time for care and repair, that you make this day a holy day, a day in which this could be celebrated and remembered for not only our faith and our spirit, but also us coming together. Let this day be a day that August 29th here in Louisiana be a day that is a state holiday. And you've heard our call that we know that we are in the midst of a climate crisis, and we understand that what happened to us and that will happen to others, we don't want that. And so we are calling upon those who want to use their business plan as a death sentence for our communities. We're calling for an end to the expansion of petrochemicals. We stand unified in that process. Now, give our feet energy and give our march spirit. Help us to march down through the second line. Help us to join together. Use this time to heal our children, to heal our mothers, to heal our fathers. Use this time right now to encourage us so this whole land, this country can see that people are still willing to stand up, to come together, to be together, to never forget what happened to us on that day. Use this time right now in the name that all the children call you by. And let us say Ashe and Amen.
Hey, so this Robert Green from the Lord Ninth Ward, I want to, let him tell y'all his story.
Basically, my granddaughter's name, Shanae Green, is on this poster. My mother's name, Joyce Green, should also be on that poster. You'll notice you see rooftop riders. On that particular day, we rode the roof of our house from 1800 Tennessee to 1600 Tennessee, and Shanae was washed away in about 25 feet of water. My mother later drowned from what they call a dry drowning. We came back 120 days and found her body, and we were able to retrieve her. So basically, this neighborhood was the neighborhood that I grew up in, and I'm happy to be here as always on this particular day because our family has healed from it. We have the same, we were rooftop riders, original rooftop riders. Everybody now who survives the storm survives it on the roof. So basically, this day is a day, August the 29th is that particular day when we remember the love, the cherishedness, the community, all the things that we lost that day. But it wasn't by choice that we decided to stay. We tried to evacuate, we were turned away at the Superdome, we came back home, and as most people who've been through storms, because we've been through Betsy, we've been through Camille, we've been through storms before, we never expected 25 feet of water in 5 minutes to wash away our houses. So as you see, when you turn around, we never had the vacant land, we never had the forest that you see, but we do have the families that lived here before, and we are one of those families that lived here before, and we're not going anywhere. This is a special day for us always. It's never a day of sorrow. It's always a day of celebration and grace to God for his choices for which were made beyond our control.
Well, if you close, went to recess, we'll get some session.
Huh?
Did you say anything?
Yeah, I was about to say.
At the session, I'll make sure we started with a black woman, so I'm asked Dawn Richard to come up to say a few words, one of our artists from caucus to say a few words as we close out.
So right now, we want to say the names that you see on these posters. We want to say the names of anybody that you know that's not on these posters that lost their lives. We also want to honor any of our ancestors that went on before us. So as y'all call the names, we gonna drop some water and say Ashe. So call them out.
Shanae Green,
Ashe.
Joyce Green,
Ashe.
Earl Blackwell,
Ashe.
Queen Mabelville,
Ashe.
Gloria Bowser,
Ashe.
Austin Leslie,
Ashe.
Cynthia Warren.
Ashe.
Soldier Slim,
Ashe.
Magnolia Shorty,
Ashe.
the children from MLK and their parents,
Ashe.
grandparents.
Any name you
lost
see.
their lives in jail,
Ashe.
under the bridge,
Chad Laundry.
Ashe. Darryl Bourgeois.
Ashe. Ashe.
our souls if we don't keep it together.
Ashe. Frank Lopez.
Yeah. Theodore Washington.
Vicky Coleman,
Yeah.
Darryl Coleman,
Ashe.
Thomas Coleman,
Ashe.
Nancy Parker,
Ashe.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, no, yeah, so I think it's important that we understand that this matters for someone who has lost their grandfather in Katrina, and every year reminded that it could have been prevented. So for people to understand that this isn't a moment, this is our lives, and it be seen that way, so that once we leave here, it continues, the conversation, the dialogue continues. That to me is important. What Rev is saying about it wasn't a storm, it was so much more than that. and for our community to be educated on that, for us to know that there is a way for us to fix this. But we have to have the voices to do that. And it won't just be in the march and in the second line, but in this moment. In this moment. I want to know that my grandfather's death wasn't in vain. That a hospital with no electricity is the reason that he wasn't cared about enough, that he wasn't worthy enough. Our people, we're tired of hearing that we aren't worthy enough, because they sure visit us enough, right? So we have to stand up for ourselves. So my hope is that after this march, we don't just stop the second line continues.
Right.
The conversation continues. And the education continues. You guys go into our neighborhoods and talk about what this is when Rev says stop petrochemicals. What this means, that it's bigger than just a storm came. There's a climate crisis happening, and we are at the epicenter of it. Where do we want to be on the lines of that? Let's not have them decide our fate. We have God. Let us tell them what our fate will be.
Get it. Let's start this